The guests at the charity gala whispered in admiration as Teo and Eniola walked in, hand in hand. He was the epitome of success, a wealthy businessman with a dazzling smile, while she was the picture of grace in her designer dress. Together, they were a power couple, envied by many and adored by the press. But behind Eniola's practiced smile was a woman who lived in fear. Her heart pounded in her chest as she held onto his arm, knowing that any misstep, any perceived slight, could have consequences later. As the evening progressed, Teo played the perfect host, laughing and charming everyone in the room. Eniola followed along, careful not to speak too much or too little, her movements calculated to avoid provoking his anger. When he leaned in and kissed her cheek for the cameras, the crowd swooned at the romance, but Eniola felt nothing but cold dread. She knew the night was far from over. The moment they stepped into their grand mansion, the atmosphere shifted. The warmth in Teo's eyes disappeared, replaced by something darker. Eniola barely had time to remove her heels before his hand wrapped around her wrist, pulling her close. "You embarrassed me tonight," he said, his voice eerily calm. "Laughing too much at Chief Ed's joke, do you think I didn't notice?" Eniola's stomach twisted in fear. She had no idea what he was talking about, but she knew better than to argue. "I didn't mean to, Teo." His grip tightened, his fingers digging into her skin. "Don't make excuses," he hissed before shoving her away. Eniola stumbled, catching herself against the wall. She wanted to scream, to fight back, but she knew it would only make things worse. Instead, she nodded, swallowing the lump in her throat. "I'm sorry." Teo exhaled sharply, his anger fading just as quickly as it had come. "Good girl," he murmured before walking away, leaving her alone in the dimly lit hallway. The next morning, Eniola woke up with faint bruises on her wrist. She traced the marks absent-mindedly, knowing they would fade in a few days. It was always like this, pain followed by apologies, then a brief period of peace before the cycle repeated itself. Downstairs, the house smelled of freshly brewed coffee. Teo was already dressed, scrolling through his phone at the breakfast table. When he looked up, he smiled as if nothing had happened the night before. "Good morning, darling. You slept well?" Eniola forced a smile, sitting across from him. "Yes." "Good. We have dinner with the governor's wife this weekend. Wear something elegant." His voice was pleasant, but the command was clear. She was nothing more than an accessory in his perfect world. As she stirred her tea, she wondered how much longer she could keep pretending. That afternoon, Eniola decided to step out of the house for a rare outing. She visited a high-end boutique, where the sales attendants greeted her with admiration. "Mrs. Williams, it's an honor to serve you," one of them gushed, her eyes filled with envy. Eniola forced another smile, browsing through expensive dresses she didn't care about. Just as she was about to leave, a familiar voice called her name. "Eniola." She turned and froze. Standing before her was Deli, her childhood friend, the boy she had once dreamed of marrying before life took them in different directions. He had aged well, his warm eyes still holding the same kindness she remembered. "It's really you," he said, his smile widening. "Wow, it's been years." Eniola's heart pounded. Seeing Deli felt like stepping into a past she had long buried, a past where she was free, happy. But standing here now, married to Teo, she felt like a completely different person. "Yes, it's been a long time," she said softly, unsure if she was ready for whatever emotions this encounter would bring. Deli suggested they grab coffee, but Eniola hesitated. She wasn't allowed to meet with people without Teo's approval. But something in her yearned for connection, for a reminder of who she used to be. Just for a few minutes, she agreed. They sat at a quiet cafe, and Deli wasted no time catching up. "You look different," he said, his gaze searching. "Are you happy?" The question caught her off guard. She wanted to say yes, to maintain the illusion, but her throat tightened. I have a good life, she said instead. Deli frowned. That's not what I asked. Eniola glanced at the time, suddenly feeling anxious. If she stayed too long, Teo would notice. I should go. Deli reached out, touching her hand lightly. If you ever need to talk, I'm here. Always. As she walked away, she felt something she hadn't in a long time, hope. But she also knew that hope could be dangerous. Eniola returned home, her heart still racing from the brief meeting with Deli. She had spent the entire car ride back rehearsing what she would say if Teo asked where she had been. She decided to stick to the truth, part of it. The moment she stepped inside, Teo was already in the living room, sipping a glass of whiskey. His gaze flickered to her, sharp and assessing. You were gone for a while, he noted. She steadied herself. I went shopping. Teo nodded slowly, but his fingers tapped against the armrest. And? She swallowed hard. I ran into an old friend, Deli. We spoke for a bit. The room fell silent. Teo's expression remained neutral, but Eniola knew better. He was calculating, deciding whether her confession was innocent or something more. Finally, he smiled. Deli, that name sounds familiar. He's from my hometown, she said carefully. Teo leaned forward. I don't like surprises, Eniola. If you see him again, you tell me first. Understood. She nodded quickly. Yes, of course. Good girl, he said, sipping his drink. But the tension in the room told her she was walking a very fine line. That night, Eniola lay awake, staring at the ceiling. She had done nothing wrong, yet Teo's words echoed in her head like a warning. The next morning, she received a message from Deli. It was really nice seeing you. I hope you're okay. She hesitated before replying, it was nice seeing you too. Take care. Before she could put her phone away, Teo appeared behind her. Who are you texting? Eniola's heart jumped. Just an old friend, she said, turning her phone over. Teo's jaw tightened. I hope you're not starting to forget your place, my love. You belong to me. Remember that. His words sent chills down her spine. Despite her better judgment, Eniola found herself dialing Deli's number. Eniola. His voice was warm, concerned. I needed to hear a familiar voice, she admitted. Deli hesitated. Are you safe? Tears welled in her eyes, but she quickly wiped them away. I have to go. Before he could say anything else, she hung up. But deep down, she knew this wasn't over. As the abuse worsened, Eniola realized she couldn't survive much longer. One night, after another violent outburst, she locked herself in the bathroom, staring at her reflection. She touched the bruises on her arm. This couldn't be her life forever. She picked up her phone and typed, Deli, I need help. Deli called immediately. Eniola, listen to me. You don't have to stay. Tears streamed down her face. I don't know how to live. You don't have to figure it out alone, he assured her. For the first time in years, she let herself imagine a life beyond this house, beyond Teo's control. The abuse grew worse, the cycle of apologies shorter. One evening, after another violent outburst, Eniola locked herself in the bathroom, staring at her reflection. She touched the bruises on her arm. This couldn't be her life forever. She texted Deli, I'm ready. His response was immediate, tell me where to meet you. She looked around her grand, empty mansion. I'm done, she whispered. In the dead of night, she slipped out, her heart pounding. Deli was waiting, his car running. Let's go. For the first time in years, she breathed freely. Eniola stayed at a safe house. The world outside felt unfamiliar, but she wasn't afraid anymore. She was free. When Teo realized she was gone, his rage shook the house. He swore he would find her. Eniola avoided the news, knowing Teo was searching. But she refused to live in fear anymore. With Deli's encouragement, Eniola saw a therapist. For the first time, she spoke her truth. To stay safe, she changed her name, her look, her life. She wasn't the same woman anymore. Teo hired people to track her down. But Eniola was always one step ahead. For the first time, Eniola had a say in her own life. She refused to be controlled ever again. With Deli's help, she built a case against Teo. It was time for justice. Teo tried to intimidate her one last time. But she wasn't afraid anymore. The court ruled in her favor. Teo was exposed for who he really was. Eniola finally felt the weight lift. She had won. Deli stood beside her, never pressuring, just supporting. Maybe love didn't have to be painful. Eniola looked at her reflection. For the first time, she recognized the woman staring back. She was free. And she was never going back.